Now, what you can do with lily pads is you can detect stuff from the environment. So if you see over here, I don't think you can see my, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Yes. So, for example, this is an accelerometer. No, that's not an accelerometer. That detects the light. This is a light in itself. So you have a lot of different sensors that you can use in together with this Arduino. This is an example of an Arduino. And this lily pad is a programmable chip. So we're going to talk about how you can program these chips and what we can do with them. And if we look over here, this is actually the accelerometer, and this is an MP3 player. So they make a lot of different variations of these lily pads so that you can do a lot of different stuff with them. So now what can we do with them? So here are just 3 small examples of what you can do. So if we go look at what these projects are, is this one up here is a shirt that detects when you have emails. So what it does is you have your lily pad and it's connected via Bluetooth, and there's the battery, and it lights up in binary the amount of emails you have. So if you have 3 emails, the second light, 2, and 1 will light up, and you can add up a ton of emails, and it's just a really creative way of detecting when you have to check your mail. The next project is a sweatshirt that has blinker lights. So for people who are biking and want to detect that they're turning at night, this is a perfect example of a useful and practical implementation of lily pads. And the last one is just something cool, as he wrote cool, where he created this wristband that when you move around, it has an accelerometer, and it spells letters and words. So these are just 3 small examples of what you can do with these small little microcontrollers. So now let's talk about the materials. This is a lily pad. We're going to go more in depth about what it is, but pretty much it's a circular piece of metal or plastic, and it has all these little holes around them, which you're going to sew into. The next thing is conductive thread. So something that distinguishes lily pads from typical Arduinos is that instead of using soldering and wires and having to get all into that really hardware, like rough stuff, you're using thread. And over here, I passed around, if you guys want to look at it, I can pass it around again, is conductive thread. And how you stitch your circuits is you stitch it with this. So you don't have to solder them. You only use the thread. You have to use needles if you're going to use thread. So some of the frustrating parts of lily pad Arduinos is that you have to actually thread your needles and sew, rather than soldering, which can be easier. Another thing that's great is alligator clips. So if you're not sure where you want to sew, when you use regular Arduinos, you just kind of plug the wires in, but here you will use alligator clips just to trial and error and connect circuits. The next part is the FTDI, breakout board, which is this little piece that connects the Arduino to your computer. So how you program this little chip, which I have an example over here, which I can pass around when we're done, is by connecting it to your computer and uploading our Arduino code to it, which we're going to talk about Arduino programming later in this talk. Okay. And then finally you have LEDs that are light-up devices. Everyone here knows what an LED is. However, these ones are really pretty, and they're designed really well, and they actually have fantastic light colors and different type of things that make it distinguishable and really pretty so that you can make these interactive, nice-looking things. And I think she's passing some around. And finally, our sensors, which are what make the projects cool. So if we look at these sensors, I've talked about a few of them so far, but this one is a Bluetooth connector. This is a clock, so it can tell real time. This is an electric imp board, which can be connected to the internet. And that is a light sensor. So now let's talk about basics of circuits. Does everyone here know what a circuit is? Yeah, okay, so I can go through this fairly quickly, because I'm sure a lot of you guys are taking courses on it. So the basis of an Arduino circuit is you have your power source, which over here is the battery, and you have whatever you're connecting your power source to. So in this case, it's a light. And how this battery works is it comes from the positive side, and the current travels from positive all the way around to the negative. And while doing this, you attach the positive to the positive and the negative to the negative, and you can kind of create these interactive circuits. And that's the basic structure of what you're going to be doing. So as long as you kind of understand this model, where it goes from positive and it goes to negative, you can kind of build any amount of complicated things from it. So let's look at the lily pad structure. This is an example of a lily pad, and let's talk about what the different parts are. So I'm holding one up over here. And then you have a lot of these kind of numbered holes. And what do they do? Like how do you get to them? And this is what we're going to talk about when we go to Arduino, is you can tell a specific hole what to do. And you can tell it if it's input or if it's output. You can have it detect input and detect the current traveling through it and send information to it, or you can send information you can take information from it, from the environment, or you can send it to the environment. And then you finally have a battery, and it is programmed through these prongs. So you attach this little chip to the prongs using your cord, which we're going to be supplying, so you don't have to worry about having this stuff. And you can program this lily pad. Does anyone have any questions about this? Yeah?
So for the positive negative poles, are those already connected, or do we have to?
Okay, yeah, so how it works is it comes with, every lily pad will come with a positive and negative. The rest of them are programmable. But the positive and negative, the positive will always have a current coming from it. So if you ever need something for your project when it's lit, like when it's turned on, to always be lit, you can attach it to the positive. All the other pins are programmable. So you can tell it to light up when you want it to. Or you can tell it to light up all the time as well, yeah?
So is the negative also programmable, or is that just ground?
The negative is the ground. So whenever you connect something to any of the pins, it has to be connected to the negative. Now, we'll talk about this a little bit more in depth, but something that's a little frustrating about this is that everything that you connect, the negative has to be connected. So when you draw out your project, you're going to want to draw out the lines very explicitly, because if your traces overlap, which we'll get to, it can cause problems. So this is an example of a lily pad circuit. And this is a very basic example of one. So as you can see, you have your lily pad, and this is a negative, and this is pin 9. So pretty much what this circuit is doing is anything that you program off of the circuit to pin 9, it will tell this buzzer to buzz. And the buzzer part, you connect the positive to A9, and the negative to the negative. So whenever you connect something, you connect the positive to either a positive or a pin, and the negative to the negative ground. Everyone good with that? So over here, this circuit essentially tells the buzzer, once you program it, to buzz. And everyone sees how when you stitch it, you have to actually loop it around the hole and really make a really tight connection, because instead of you don't have solder to connect the circuit, and instead you only have this thread. So you have to make sure that the connections are tight and there's no loose edges. So does everyone here know how to sew? Who here doesn't know how to sew? Actually, who here does know how to sew? It's okay if you don't. If you don't know how to sew, you'll learn how to do it. It's something that you should know in life, so it would be very practical to learn. Now, something fun about lily pad, or not fun, is debugging. But this is a different type of debugging than you normally get. So normally when you're debugging your programs, it's like looking in your computer and seeing where did I cast it as an int or as a float, and that type of debugging. Here, you really have to check your threads, because there's a lot of errors that can happen with this just by sewing it to the wrong place. So can anyone tell me why this is an error? Why that red circle is there? Can you see the red circle? No? Okay, well there's a red circle right over here.
Doesn't it cross into the other pin?
Yes, exactly. So here, this is a good example of how you can only access one pin at a time. See over here, I don't know if you can see it, but the purpose of this is there's thread that goes from the negative pin to A5. And that would cause a short in the circuit if you have A5 all the time, set to on. So you have to be really careful when you're sewing. And here's some other examples of errors that can occur. Now, these are all shorts in the circuits. And when you're creating your projects, if you're doing something like sewing onto a sweatshirt, like that track jacket from earlier, you have to be really careful that your threads don't touch and that they don't conduct electricity. And also sometimes your skin can conduct electricity, so you have to be careful with that. So there's a lot of factors that play into this. Yeah?
Are none of the wires insulated at all?
No,
Why not?
because it's thread.
Oh, okay, never mind.
So that's one of the challenges. See, it's really easy to sew. Yeah. Oh, did you have a question? No. Okay. It's really easy to sew circuits. However, you should be careful that your traces don't overlap. Yeah.
If you put layers of cloth in between
Then
different
you're fine.
lines, they'll be
Yeah.
fine.
And also, there's conductive fabric that you can use. If let's say you want a large conductive patch that when you touch it, it completes the circuit, you can use conductive fabric, and we will be providing some. Another thing that you can do if you want to be a little bit more hacky is you can aluminum foil and use that to conduct electricity. And what you can do is, I think we'll be providing this as well, is some aluminum foil that is backed on fabric. So you can put that onto your projects and iron it onto your projects. We'll be providing irons and everything that you will ever need, sewing machines. So if you don't know how to use a sewing machine, we will teach you. Okay, so as you can see, it can be tedious creating these designs with sewing, and let's say you make a mistake. Because can you imagine sewing your entire project and then realizing that it's all wrong and you have to resew it? So the benefit of this is you have alligator clips to prototype for, and we definitely encourage prototyping with lily pads. And actually what I do in my research is I use a lot of hardcore, like different Arduinos, and what I do is I prototype it in LilyPad all the time using alligator clips, and it works out perfectly, and you can get it done really quickly and efficiently and see if it works or not. Okay, so now let's download Arduino. Does everyone have this downloaded onto their computer? We're going to take a moment to download it now. So can you go to the Arduino page? I will open it up. So everyone, just if you Google Arduino, it will be the first thing up. Go to download. If you have a Mac, download the one for Mac. If you have Windows, 1.05 will be perfectly fine. And let me know if you have it downloaded.
I have a question.
Well,
So we're getting a box of like random parts. Are they random or is it like?
you will be able to, there's going to be some choices that you'll have to make when you're putting your box together. So you're not going to, it's not going to be completely random, and everything will be related. We're not going to throw something that you can't use.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
so we'll find that out in one Friday.
Yeah. But like the stuff that we're talking about today, you can imagine will be present. Or some of it will. Does anyone have any more questions while you're downloading things? Yeah.
What additional, so everything you said will be provided, right? So are there any other additional things you would recommend us bringing?
I recommend you guys bringing stuff that you want. Like if you want to do a project using sweatshirts and jeans and some type of clothing apparel, bring it. Also, like if you need anything else, most of the stuff will be provided. However, you can probably run out and get it. However, you shouldn't need to.
Arduino just runs, like at least on Mac. It just runs. Like
Yeah, it's fantastic. And have any of you guys used processing before? Yeah, okay, they have. But it's formatted. I'll talk about it in a second once you guys have it downloaded. Is anyone still waiting for it to be downloaded? Or is everyone, okay, you're waiting? Okay, we'll wait a second. Don't worry. It's okay. I don't want to run that. Okay. Any more questions? Oh, we continue? It could be about StitchFest. It could be about. Yeah.
So you mentioned that if it touches your skin, that could be a problem. So you recommend having like a shirt on top of a shirt, or is that there are other ways around it?
There are other ways around it. I mean, I've never had it become a big issue with my projects, but some people have had that issue, that if they have a lot of just like wires on the inside where like you're wearing, it's just touching your skin, it can complete the circuit.
Okay.
So it's just something you can be cautious about, but you'll see. Yeah.
Would it ground a circuit? Yeah, or?
It would just
Yeah.
mess it up. It won't function properly.
Okay.
Can you like measure conductivity with that?
Yeah, we'll have voltmeters so you can measure the conductivity to make sure it's
Or can we do it on board? Can we do it on the Arduino?
Yeah, I think so. We'll have the materials so that you can do that.
Sweet.
Okay, download it or no? Just go for it? Okay.
You're almost there.
All right, so everyone has Arduino open. Let's go back to this slide. So the Arduino. Great. So this is the basic structure of an Arduino code. You have the top part, which is like your comments and what you want to label it. The bottom part is just like your variables. You can declare them as global. And then the most important parts are the setup and the loop. So how this works is it's very similar to where you're programming it from. So if you have it open, you can see that in your tools, you're going to want to adjust the serial port. And currently, if you don't have a USB port plugged in, you won't be able to have this option. But when you program it, you're going to be using a USB, so you'll have that pop-up show. The next thing is that you want to set it to COM4, because it's that type of Arduino. And finally, you want to select LilyPad Arduino with ATmega 328, which, if you're confused about what to set it to, there's specs on the specific LilyPads that you can look up and just like clarify which way you want to use. Okay, so once you write your code, you upload it to the board, and you'll see what happens. So now let's make it blink. So I have this Arduino up here, and we can turn off the lights once we actually program it and see it blink, but we're going to go through how to make it blink. Okay. So the first thing is, let's just talk about the programming environment. So this button over here is used to compile your code, and this is used to send it to the board. So if we were to send it to the board, currently I have nothing plugged in. So it's going to compile an error, because there's no code there and there's no board. So typically, Arduino is very good about telling you when it doesn't work and when it does work, and it can be frustrating when it doesn't work. However, online there's a lot of just like Stack Overflow questions about it. So if you have issues, it's there. There's also troubleshooting flowcharts for LilyPads that are very helpful. The next part is a new, which if you want to make a new document, you click it, open and save. Now what we're going to do is, if you have it open, open basics blink. Everyone has that? And you can see when you press open, there's a ton of examples. So for example, if you want to play with a sensor, they have all these. They have display. They have a lot of different things. Not all of them are relevant to LilyPad, but it's definitely good to look at them and see just what you can do with it and try and analyze what the code does. Cool. So let's look at this. How this code works is, in your LilyPad, you have pins. And pins can be represented by ins. This is just common stuff that you also learn, and I'll tell you about. So in this LilyPad, and in every LilyPad, the one over here as well, that you guys looked at, there's a pin called 13 that is just a light. So currently what this program is doing is it's telling the computer that 13 is a light. And you can name this anything you want. It doesn't have to be LED. It can be A, B, C, whatever you'd like your code to be. The second part is the setup. So it's going to run before the code works. And pin mode, LED. So it's telling the computer that the LED number 13, because it represents 13, is an output. So there's two different options, output and input. So when you're using a sensor that takes in information from the environment, you're going to want to be using input for a pin. So you'll stitch like an input to a pin, and you'll declare it as input, and you can detect it as analog or digital. Does everyone know the difference between analog and digital? Yep. Anyone want clarification? Pretty good. Okay. And finally, the loop. So can anyone tell me what this loop will do? Just by looking at it and guessing and seeing what it says. Yes.
It's going to blink on and off every second.
Okay, so let's see. I'm going to plug it into my computer and upload it, and we'll see. I'll try and turn off the lights. So when you guys are looking at this right now, you can't upload it, but if you want after, you can check that your computer works and is compatible. So let's upload it. And as you can see, right now, can you see the light? Cool. So right now, it should, you see the orange light. Now I'm going to turn this on and actually pass it around. And as you guys can see, there is a green flashing light on this. So we'll pass it around. So if I wanted to program a different pin, how would I change this code to make it work? Yeah.
Change the inset pin where you put int, change that to a different number pin.
Exactly. And actually with LilyPads, there's letters too. So you can say like A2 and it will work as well. So endless, I'm going to pass around this one, which isn't programmed, but still pass it around. You can see the labels on them and program them in specific. Here, I can pass it. tons of tutorials online that will show you how to do like different sensors. So let's say you want to have a touch sensor that when you touch two pieces of like aluminum, you want it to do like play a sound. Which actually in like we go to high schools and teach lily pads to them, very basic stuff, not the stuff that you're going to be doing. But we have them make little monsters that start singing when you press both their arms and close the circuit. So that's just a very basic example. I should have brought it, but
I have pictures.
you have pictures? Okay, so if you want to see it after, you can go over there and just look at a project and what it would look like and play with it. Any questions about, yeah?
How long will the
Battery
Arduino
last
run without a battery? Like,
I'm not sure the exact spot, like the exact time, but it lasts.
oh, it lasts pretty long.
Yeah.
Can you add a battery to it if it's needed?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Are there any solar like modules? Anything that can like get solar energy?
I'm sure there are. I mean, actually what we're working on in our lab is printing like batteries and making them bigger. So we're working on different things. Anyone? Yeah?
Do we have any type of sensors?
Yeah, we're gonna actually go through that right now. You read my mind. Cool. So I'm gonna actually pass around this cord. So wherever the Arduino is, and if you have it open, you're welcome to try programming it yourself. Does anyone want to just play around with it right now? No? Yeah, okay, I'll give this to you. And then we'll talk about sensors. If you have it open, go ahead.
Which lily pad is this?
This is the 320. Great. So now let's talk about the sensors and how they work. So we're going to go through a bunch of different sensors. The first one is a light sensor. So what it does is it outputs an analog between 0 and 5 of how light the room is. So if it's really dark, it'll be 0. Or if you're in a dark room, it'll be 0. And if you're in the sunlight, it'll be 5. And how this works is you will take this negative and you'll attach it to the negative of the lily pad. The negative port of the lily pad, and you'll take the positive and attach it to a specific pin, and you'll designate that pin to be, what will it be, input or output? Input, perfect. Okay, so any questions about a light sensor? And then you can use this information in your program and say, when it's really dark out, turn the lights on. Yeah?
There are 3 holes, the positive and negative. What's the S?
The S, it's probably another, I don't know the exact specs of it off the top of my head, but everything is online.
Great.
If I don't cover the exact details right now, everything's online. I'm just going through what you can use and what you're interested in. I totally would advise looking up online and reading the specs for it. Next one is a buzzer. So it just makes a little buzzing sound. It uses 2 pins, and would this be output or input? Output, exactly. So you will attach the negative again to the ground and the positive to a pin, and you can program it. Next one is a tricolored LED. So it has an RGB value, and what you do is you attach the RGB values to your lily pad, and they will be designated as output, and then you can program them to specific values, and you can get literally any color light. And the best thing about this one is that when I work with it, it's really bright, and like, you get a lot of different color variations. It's not like one of those cheap LEDs that kind of somewhat flashes like the color. You actually get the right color. The next one is really fun, which is the accelerometer, which have you guys used before? Anyone here use an accelerometer? No? Yes? Okay. Well, you can detect motion, you can detect inclination, vibration, and you have the X, Y, and Z pins, which you put in as input, and then you can use this information. When you use the accelerometer, you have to do some math behind it just to calculate what the information means. But it's really good once you do the calculations. And I'm sure you can find them online. Finally is the temperature sensor. So if you use this, you're gonna have to use a little bit more nitty-gritty technical stuff. So it connects to Wi-Fi. And something really cool about Electric Imp, which I would completely recommend, is that you use a program that's actually on your cell phone. So, and you attach it to a Wi-Fi module. So we'll be providing some Wi-Fi modules there, so you don't have to worry about connecting to Wi-Fi because AirPen net can be a pain. And you attach it with a blink pattern, and it's a really cool program if you learn to do it. I used it for a project over the summer that was in actually most of the free libraries in Philadelphia. We created a light up interactive mural, and we connected them to the internet using these chips. And it took a little time to get used to how it works. However, once we did, it was very practical and useful. Next is Bluetooth. So let's say you want to connect it to a cell phone or a computer. You can use this module. Again, it has to do with soldering. However, there will be soldering stations there so you can use it. You can send information, and for more information, there's down here. So if you want to look at the specs of how it works and how to program it, it will be there. Any questions so far about the sensors? Because I just did a few sensors over here. Any questions? No? Look cool? Do you have ideas of what you want to do? Yeah?
What would we use, I guess it would be on the internet, but there would be some sort of application that you download on your computer or your phone to do the Bluetooth stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And same with the Electric Imp. The Electric Imp has a special phone program and an internet thing, which can be a little bit buggy, but once you get working, it's cool. Yep.
So if you run out of holes, are there any like extra holes?
Yeah, I think we'll be providing extra lily pads. Okay. So to wrap things up, troubleshooting, the best part about lily pads is everything's really visual because it's made for arts and crafts, like arts and crafts and technical purposes, and kind of conjective fabric, bringing the craftiness to tech. So they have all these funky diagrams of how to troubleshoot. Because when you're in a coding class, you don't have this kind of pretty visualization. There's also the internet if you have questions, but most of your problems can be solved with, like, simple sewing problems can be solved with this flowchart. Okay. And now there's some links for useful stuff. And if you have any questions, let me know. Yeah?
Will there be anywhere to access your PowerPoint?
I'm going to be posting these slides.
Okay.
So if you want, we can look at like a cool example. Do you want to do that? So this is a wearable display that Leah Buckley was actually the founder of. This is a very graphic stuff. It's less technical. You guys are going to want to go more technical than this. This is just like really pretty graphics with a lot of LEDs. She can change it based on like her movements and everything.
Don't envy stuff.
Yeah. It's a lot of planning. You're not going to want to do that many LEDs. But something cool and technical is, let me open it. There is the heartbeat from pulse sensor, but we can go to the fine foam detector, which uses, there's tons and tons of examples online. If
I
you're
was thinking of doing like the heartbeat.
The heartbeat, yeah, someone's done that. But you could do a different version of it that does like other stuff. There's so many different projects and different like design problems in a way that you can solve using it. So this detects where you are in the room, so you can use it to find your home. I don't know when you would want to use it, but I'm sure you guys can come up with practical things. And that was just someone's project. There's tons of different projects. You did a fine foam detector. And there's a heartbeat from a pulse sensor and making music. There's all different things that you can do with these projects, and I'll post some more links of how to do it and how they did it. And there's a ton of tutorials online. So the first thing I advise doing is when you get to Pen Apps, I think there's a website, you can go to it, lilypad
that you would recommend like not using in case like the insulation makes the circuit overheat or something like that?
We've never had that issue,
Okay.
but I'll let you know if we do run into it.
Just wondering.
Great. So that was a quick tech talk. I hope you guys are looking forward to it. How many people have signed up for StitchFest? You signed up?
Like 5 minutes, yeah, like at the beginning of the thing, so like half an hour ago.
Okay, awesome.
Is it still open for registration?
It's open for registration. I believe all the teams are full. However, well, not all the teams are full. They're all the signups are full, but the teams aren't full. So I'm sure that you could join in on a team that has already been created, or if they get off and don't want to do it, you can join. So I would recommend signing up as soon as possible.
All the teams will find out if they were accepted tomorrow, and then also find out how many people are on their team and how many people need teams.
Yeah, so they
So we can place people with people they don't know.
yeah, of course.
Swapping out a team.
Oh yeah, I remember you told me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys. Great. So I actually have more lily pads over here. If you want to look at them, program them, play with them, let me know. And also, I will be at StitchFest the entire time, so you can ask me